Today, I had the pleasure to visit Iskele because we had a meeting with a client and we viewed one of the most desired projects of Iskele region by the name of Isla. The conversation today is going to be about Iskele itself as a region, and at the same time, I'm going to draw your attention to a project like Isla because we do have a couple of villas on resales in there, and we do have a couple of apartments on resales in there as well. So it's a boutique complex of 211 units altogether, consisting of 2 and 3 bedroom apartments and 3 and 4 bedroom fully detached and semi-detached villas with a private pool or without private pool. It's an all-inclusive resort that has outside swimming pool, a mini aqua park, restaurant, botanic garden, indoor and outdoor playgrounds. Of course, we have spa, hammam, and sauna, and fitness center, and all of that. There are also sport courts, tennis, volleyball, and basketball courts. And as well as that, of course, there would be a landscape design. It's a fully gated community. There would be a huge commercial zone, within the complex, along with the restaurant and the cafe and the pastry and pharmacy, of course. And at the same time, you will have some sort of walking paths and cycling paths for kids to enjoy, obviously, on the territory of the complex. If you are picking Iskele, that would be a complex to consider first and foremost, because Döveç as a company, it's one of the leading companies, if not the first one in the region of Iskele that has the highest standards that you can get in Northern Cyprus. And I'm being very open and honest about it. I mean, Döveç is the leading developer, one of the leading ones. They are very precise and accurate and absolutely extremely amazing when it comes to quality, with practically no snagging list. When it comes to the design, they use always most upgraded materials that you can actually get in Northern Cyprus. I mean, if we take Northern Cyprus as a whole, the most upgraded things you will be able to see particularly in the complexes of Döveç. Have VRF system in all of their projects. It's always high ceilings. It's always LED lights. It's always smart housing options within the houses, things like that. So Döveç overall is just an amazing company. I would highly advise you to buy property, particularly of that developer, because you're not going to be disappointed if we're talking about Iskele region, because they build some stuff in Esentepe, a few projects like Isla and Natulux. But projects that are close to delivery or been delivered, they would be normally in Iskele. And of course, there are resales and other projects. The famous Courtyard, the famous Four Seasons, that was built, Four Seasons was built in collaboration with Döveç. And let's say Courtyard is built, belongs purely to Döveç company. But the problem is, when it comes to developers right now, we all know that prices for off-plan is a lot higher than on a resale market, right? Because people that resell their property, they bought those properties 3 to 4 to 5 years ago. If they bought property from Döveç, trust me, nobody has lost the money. That's one of the things that distinguishes this developer on the market of Iskele. Nobody has lost the money. Everyone is selling at a plus. I don't know one single person or one single resale where they're selling at a loss. I'll be very honest with you. And that's a very rare thing when it comes to Iskele. Isla is the project where you would not see massive resales just because people are mainly buying it for themselves initially, because that's the project you want to keep, basically. That's the property you would want to keep. We do have a couple of 3-bedroom villas, and the cheapest one is priced at £300,000, and that's the one that I was showing today to a client. Second 3-bedroom villa is a little bit more expensive, but then 4-bedroom villas start with just over £400,000, So there is a £100,000 difference between 3-bedroom and 4-bedroom villas. There are also a few apartments on sale. I do believe 2+1 apartments are priced somewhere between £150,000 to £160,000, and 3-bedroom apartment would cost you roughly about £200,000. I'm not giving you the exact prices, I'm just giving you the approximates, but that's how it is. Let's talk about Iskele. Well, to be honest with you, Iskele is not my favorite region. I can't imagine myself living in there, but hey, some people like it because of the sandy coastline, because of the density of the population, because, that region is highly developing right now. New places are opening up and it's not more modern, and you see luxury type of resorts like Grand Sapphire, etc., fancy beach clubs and fancy restaurants, right? So you don't really see any old buildings among those all-inclusive resorts, such as Caesar Resort, such as Grand Sapphire, such as panorama views such as courtyard. It's all high-end type of residences. Why Iskele is so popular? Okay, one more time. Well, first of all, that location became popular because it has endless sandy coastline, right? And that beach is, work of art by the nature. It's very beautiful. It's very convenient, and it doesn't even have to be equipped. And it's sand everywhere, which attracts people, of course. But it's a flat terrain. You don't really get the views in the mountains, and it's most of the time it's yellowish. We don't get too many greenery unless it's landscape design within internal facility of the complex, right? So Iskele back then became very popular just because there was a lot of marketing set up for that particular region, because there was a lot of projects coming up. And I'll be very honest with you. If we go back into 2019, 2020, I would say that probably 80% of the investment type of properties that were sold in Iskele. And because, it was selling like peanuts in Iskele to the investors, and the more agents sell, the more hype they get about it, about the region itself, about the projects, etc. The easier it is for them to sell, plus the marketing, plus people see it all the time on the media. I'm talking about the investors from different countries. So that's why the biggest boom actually of property sales happened in that particular region. A lot of the times, clients, investors, clients that are looking to buy a holiday home, they will come to Northern Cyprus looking for peace and quiet, for beautiful scenery, but they will be in hands of an agent that's selling Iskele. Those kind of clients, they were usually told that no other regions exist in Northern Cyprus, that Iskele is the bomb. It's the most beautiful, it's very developed, that's the only place you need to invest, and everything else is just crap. That's the only way I can describe it. Agents did not take clients to the northern coastline, where the mountains are, where Kyrenia is, where, peace and quiet of Esentepe, or let's say beauty of Lapta or Sanjak. People did not see those regions. By the way, the Norwegian couple that actually buying the bungalow, we're in the process of the transaction, for the first time when they came to Northern Cyprus, that was exactly a year ago, they were in hands of an agent that was selling Iskele. The agent did not even show them Esentepe or Kyrenia. They didn't even take them there. So the clients haven't even been to that region. They only thought that the only region that's for sale is Iskele, and everything else is just non-existent or not worth looking at and wasting that time, right? And at the end of the day, they're buying a bungalow in Esentepe because that's their dream location, because that's exactly what they were looking for. They wanted to be by the mountains. They wanted to see the cliffs. They wanted to see the sea from the ground floor of their bungalow or apartment, whichever they would have picked back then. So they ended up leaving a year ago without a purchase because they were only showed Iskele, and Iskele looked like a ghetto to them. So, it all comes down to a particular taste. Some people love Iskele. I have no objections. Iskele is a beautiful region, but not for everybody. Some people cannot stand Iskele, and they are looking to buy something in Kyrenia, whether it's Central Kyrenia or West Side or East Side, which is actually in Esentepe. So, different people, different tastes, right? But again, I would say 80% of sales starting from 2019, 2020, 2021, especially when the war broke down between Russia and Ukraine, happened to be in Iskele region. And that's why Iskele has the biggest pool of resales at the moment, right? Comparing to all the other regions, because West of Kyrenia, it's a good resale option is very rare. It would be a very hard thing to find. You would most likely come across a regular style, like regular housing type of a middle quality, like economy type of class, in West of Kyrenia. You can't really find anything of a high class. Although you can, we actually have some exclusive resales in some of the all-inclusive resorts in West of Kyrenia, which is Spectra by MTAN. And MTAN is a leading developer in terms of the quality. Their properties off plan right now is expensive like every other developer. But if you think of resales, we have quite a few, and it's, of the prices or close to the prices of 2023. It's a lot cheaper than you buying from the developer, but still, of course, people that bought with those kind of developers in West of Kyrenia back then, they benefited from capital appreciation. People do not sell at a loss in West side of Kyrenia. No chance, unless there is a problem with the documents. or, military base or anything else like that, or it's a shared title deed. So, even east side of Kyrenia, Esentepe, Bahçeli and Tatlısu, people do not sell at a loss. They sell at either price they bought it for if it's an urgent resale, or they sell it at a plus. Sometimes at a huge plus, sometimes not. So it depends on when the investor bought the property. So Esentepe has quite a bigger option of the apartments to choose, but majority of them will be all-inclusive resorts, right? That involves a full spectrum of facilities, spa, hammam, gym, saunas, restaurants, whatever's on site, right? Walking pathways, everything that you can imagine. But it involves, of course, high maintenance cost per month, beautiful complexes. And, the prices start with, for a modern apartment, VAT paid, fully furnished, modern design, maybe 3-4 years of age. You can get yourself a 2-bedroom apartment for 160,000, 170,000 pounds. If it's 15 years of age, you can get yourself an apartment for 100, 110, 120,000 pounds in a good condition, in amazing sites. Of course, not brand new, of course, not modern, but, great quality and good value for money still. I'm not even talking about the off-plan, because off-plan is very expensive in Esentepe at this point in time. If I would go for anything, it would be only resales. I'm not the individual to push on sales, because I do believe that decision has to be taken not under pressure, but in a, calm condition. But resales go fast, good resales. If you think that prices are going to get cheaper, no. If it's a good development, if it's a good quality, if it's nice views, if it's close to the seafront, the prices are not getting any cheaper. The prices are getting more expensive. Cheap resales being snapped up, literally. And, we have a high interest from Norway, from Poland, from Germany. Oh my goodness, Germany still is the biggest market. And those guys are buying resale, especially in Esentepe, like anything. And, the cheapest resales, they go off fast. And no matter what kind of location that is, whether it's Iskele, West of Kyrenia, or East of Kyrenia, good resales, the projects with documents, particularly with title deeds, are going off the market very fast. So if you're still thinking of buying and you want to enter this market and benefit from the capital appreciation that's already happened, but it's not included in the price, then it's the time. Like, let me give you a clear example. Let's say if we talk about Iskele region, right? There's quite a few complexes, of course, high rises with thousands of apartments. I usually would try to resell Neuenlar if I do have any client, because Neuenlar will always have the title deed, and they have, endless amount of projects, and of course, every single project has resales. So one of the latest projects that's been completed is Riverside, okay? And it's still undergoing delivery. Just 2 months ago, when I had a client over here from the UK, he loved Riverside, and there was a high competition among resales, right? A 2-bedroom apartment with 2 bathrooms, it was possible to get for 110,000 pounds, 105,000 pounds. Right now, there is no 2-bedroom apartments. They're all gone. They're non-existent. Nothing else on resale, okay? That's just a pure example on a Riverside project. It's all-inclusive resort by Caesar Resort, built by Neuenlar. La Isla, it's only like 7 resales altogether out of 211 units, my dear friends. And out of those resales, there is only about 4 villas and, 3-4 apartments. That's it. Nothing else. You would see tremendous amount of resales on Caesar Resort, but we all know Caesar Resort, we do have quite a big uncertainty when it comes to title deeds. There is no guarantee that you can get one, and reassignment costs are very high. Let's rewind and go back to the reasons why Northern Cyprus is popular. Aside of the fact that it's cheap cost of living, not as cheap anymore, but considerably cheaper if we compare it to Europe and Western countries, but it's not very cheap. Again, don't be biased about that sort of fact. To live in here comfortably, you would need at least 1,500 euro, dollars, pounds, just to pay off your bills and go to the shop to get groceries, okay? That's not included school. That's not included restaurants or partying or what's not. That's just basic lifestyle, okay? If you're looking to go into the restaurants and enjoy your life, then you're looking to spend at least 2,000 euros to 2,500 euros for a couple, okay? To live comfortably. So Northern Cyprus is not as cheap as it used to be before. Aside of the cost of life, why is Northern Cyprus again popular? Another reason would be safety. Yes, we have virtually zero crime. People don't get killed outside. We don't have homeless people. We don't have beggars outside. You don't see people under influence outside on the streets. I mean, of course, there are drugs. If you're aiming to find some, you will be able to find some, but they are totally illegal. You get arrested for it and you get jailed for it. And you don't see people under influence outside, right? That's just non-existent. You can freely walk out of your apartment or house at 3 o'clock at night and go walk by the seafront by yourself with no lights on. Nobody's ever going to approach you, touch you, grab your bag, or do any reckless things like that. It's just non-existent in here, okay? It's the climate, it's the clean air. I mean, we do have some pollutions thanks to keep taxation in between Esentepe and Çatalköy. But, you know, we don't have mass production in here or manufacturing. That's why the air is still genuinely clean. Natural produce. Yes, we grow our own vegetables, you know, with no with some sort of allowance of pesticides, but they're so low and they're so strictly controlled that majority of the natural produce that you get in here is still clean. No crime, clean air, clean sea, summer all year round, affordable cost of life. What else? Yeah, money factor, right? No financial control. But let's be honest, and frankly speaking, one of the big reasons why a lot of population come here to Northern Cyprus is to safeguard their assets. It's because this country is free of financial control. Because you can bring as many assets as you like in the form of anything, and nobody's going to ask you questions, all right? And we know the main issue that Western countries and European countries are facing right now: monetary control. Total monetary control, increase of taxes, etc. I don't need to say that to you. You know it perfectly yourself. So Northern Cyprus is one of those small territories that not too many of such territories left in the whole wild world that would not ask you question when you bring cash to deposit into your account, when you buy property, you know, etc. No matter how much the taxes have increased for buying the property over the last 3 years, still it's cheaper than in majority of other countries, especially the countries that are popular for the sea views, for the climate, for the weather, for the easy residency, etc. Right? We as agents, we've lived through turbulent times. I mean, before it used to be only 3.5% to pay the taxes plus VAT 5% to get the title deed into your name to buy the property, etc. So it was 8.5% altogether if you were buying new property. Today it's 14.5%, but there was a time when we had it 17.5%. You know, we as agents, it was very difficult for us to communicate that to the clientele when we were waiting for somebody to say it first out loud, because we were so scared to sort of push the investors or people who are looking to buy property in here away, because to us, it seemed to be like a crazy amount. But hey, my dear friends, it's not a crazy amount, okay? Because first of all, it's not on the purchase price, it's a cadastral value of the property. Depending on what location you're buying in, what kind of property you're buying, you can also reduce those taxes payable. And pay not from the actual price, but from the cadastral value. The whole point that I'm trying to make, my dear friends, is that whether you like it or not, Northern Cyprus is not as cheap as it used to be before. Why? Because it became very popular. Because the trend across the globe has shifted towards financial monetary control, the taxes, etc. People are looking for a more affordable place to live. People are looking to escape the taxes. People are looking to safeguard their assets because they're afraid to keep it at the bank at this current condition of the world right now. People want mild climate, they want safety, they want absolutely amazing life without having to pay taxes on their remote job, on crypto exchange, on whatever that is, okay? People are looking for a cheaper place and where taxes are not that heavy. So Northern Cyprus is among those places. It's closely located to Europe. It's a very convenient commune to the European countries. You can travel back and forth. It's easy residency, it's climate, it's safety, and it's free of financial control. That's why it became so popular, and that's why the prices have skyrocketed. If you're looking for a bargain, we still have some. But when it comes to good developments with good documentation, free of any military presence nearby, you know, if it's a good quality, if it's the property that actually worth the money, there is very limited amount of it. And majority of it, if you're looking for affordability, is on resale. And those resales are going very fast. That's the true harsh reality. And when I get inquiries, when people are trying to find the property for 50,000, I'm like, that's non-existent. I'm sorry. I mean, you can find ads where you can see studio being sold for 45,000 in Caesar Resort. But hey, my dear friends, you have to pay 10,000 on the top of that to for the reassignment fee. You might never get the title deed. And it's just, the competition is very high. It's not an attractive investment. That's not the project that's going to bring you money in terms of rental or resale, future resale or capital appreciation. It's just not. So that's why it's so cheap, because people are trying to get rid of it. And there's plenty on resale, hundreds on resales. And that's why people are not buying it. Whoever is smart are not buying it. So there are a lot of resales in the complexes that are not beneficial to you in the future, okay? But when it comes to good resales, they're very limited, especially in the particular locations. Northern Cyprus has become a place where people relocate to, whether it's a permanent or temporary relocation. People who has the money, they buy the property, they live here for 2-3 years, then they sell the property, they move elsewhere if they found another perfect spot. People, who were not able to integrate or could not stand the mentality, because yavaş, things being slow in here, it's a mentality and you cannot change that. You have to put up with it if you want to live in here. It's within the culture of local population, right? Whether it's a benefit or a drawback. Of course, when it comes to slow pace of life, it's a benefit. Of course, when it comes to things being done, it's a drawback. But hey, it's another world. It's another country. You cannot compare it to, European countries or Western countries or any other country. All countries have their own mentality, have their own features. There would be a lot of the times when I call my clients, they would have a request and I would call them and I would say, listen, there is a resale popped up just now at an amazing price. Literally grab and run in terms of the quality, the concept, whatever that's not, great value for money on the current market. And I would hear the response like, oh, no, we need to think. Okay, you need to think. But I wouldn't have called you if it wasn't a hot deal. If I'm calling you and I'm telling you it's a hot deal, it is a hot deal. You either make a decision soon, we schedule a Zoom, we talk to a developer, we talk to the owner, I do the online viewing, whatever that's not. Either that option is going to go off the market within a few days, because good options do not last, my dear friends. They are extremely rare. And let's say like Isla Villas is among one of them. The only reason the owner is selling is because he's got about 6 properties in the region of Iskele. And out of these 6 properties, La Isla would be the most desired one. If it was for me, I would have left La Isla for myself and sold everything else. But unfortunately, everything else is not as desirable, right? And it's not going to go off the market as quick. You know why? Because one of them is 4-season military base. You can't get the title deed. Another one is Courtyard Platinum. Again, the likelihood of the fact that you will not be able to get the title deed is very high. Another one is Caesar Resort. That most likely will never get the title deed, according to my opinion. I might be wrong. What else do they have? Kyrenia. Kyrenia is still under construction. Döveç as well. By the way, high-rise buildings. Amazing development. Just because it's been built by Döveç and it's still under construction. They're still putting the structure up. I know it's going to be amazing. It's a good value for money and it's going to be incredible development, but it's still, they're still putting the structure up. It's still a concrete wall type of thing. So you can't really see what you're buying. Other than, of course, big sizes of the apartments, the layouts, the 3D images, what's not. And it's not very cheap, I'll tell you honestly, because initially Kyrenia was sold at a very high price. It was one of the most expensive projects actually in Iskele back then. Among developers. If you do require a consultation, feel free to reach out to me. I don't charge for an advice or answering the questions, so I would be happy to schedule a call with you, go over the key points, and then help you the way I can. Other than that, thank you so much for watching and thank you for your support, and I will see you in the next episode.